will talk about the revolting happened in Libya in 2011. I will introduce the reason why the people in Libya revolted and what was the government's response to the protesters. Libya is located in North Africa, bordering the Mediterranean Sea between Egypt, Tanzania, Algeria, southern border with the Chad, Niger, and Sudan. The Libyan history under the Muammar Gaddafi was spanned a period of 4 decades from 1969 to 2011. On 1st September 1962, Gaddafi leading a group of young Libyan military officials against the King Idris, and the king had failed the country. Gaddafi became the leader of the Libyan country. The Libyan Arabic Republic has been built. He gave his relatives and colonies belong to the Gaddafi and the Algerian tribal leaders arranged in the army and the government of the important position, and very clearly weakened his rival in order to maintain a declined balance of power. Political rule and economic development. All interested for Libya is 58% of GDP, but the government using the oil revenue of the development expansion of the most to part of middle class is limited, and only a small percentage of oil revenue was gained. Gaddafi was favoring the surrounding tribal development. He also discriminated and pressured the eastern part of citizens in all aspects. 13% of Libyan citizens were unemployed. More than 16% of families had none of its members earning a stable income, while 43% had just one. In this situation, the voice of political reform for Libyan citizens has more intense. During the revolution, the Libyan government had employed snipers, hyper gunships, warplanes, anti-aircraft weaponry, and warships against the demonstrations and processions. It was also security force and foreign mercenaries repeatedly used firearms, including assault rifles and machine guns, as well as knives against the protesters.
Civil War, also referred to as the Libyan Revolution, was an armed conflict in the North African state of Libya, fought between forces loyal to Colonel Muammar Gaddafi and those seeking to oust his government. The war was preceded by protests in Benghazi beginning on Tuesday, 5th February 2011, which led to clashes with the security forces that fight on crowd. The protests escalated into rebellion that spread across the country, with the force opposing Gaddafi established an interim governing body, the National Transitional Council. The United Nations Security Council passed an initial resolution on 26 February, freezing the access of Gaddafi and his inner circle and restricting the travel and referred to matter an international criminal court for investigation. In early March, Gaddafi's force rallied, pushed eastward, and retook several coastal cities before attacking Benghazi. A further UN resolution also raised the member states to establish enforced no-fly zone over Libya and to use all necessary measures to prevent attacks on civilians. The Gaddafi government then announced the ceasefire, but failed to uphold it, so it then accused rebels of violating the ceasefire, and when they continued to fight as well. Throughout the conflict, rebels reject government offers a ceasefire and efforts by African Union to end fighting because the plan set forth and did not include the removal of Gaddafi. And that in March 2011, the U.S. military to implement Operation Odyssey Dawn action. A missile-equipped destroyer battery launched the Tomahawk cruise missile to Libya, so that this turbine, which was triggered by native people after more than a month of revolution, evolved into a wave of multinational force was led by American and British with Libya force. There are four forces which object to Gaddafi political power. First, the Easter Tripod frequent challenge Mr. Gaddafi regime, but no succeed. Their combination was too loose to destroy. And the power of religion. The Sunni religion has 1/3 of population, but have a heart but no strength. Islamic extremists was retired by the policy of Mr. Gaddafi's policy carrot and the stick. Last, the force of Old Royal acts as the flag of reacting Gaddafi, but they are hopeless to wield power again. In Libya, while the revolution was ultimately successful in ousting Muammar Gaddafi, social media played a minor role. Libya's government maintained strong control of the internet infrastructure, and Gaddafi, as an egomaniacal autocrat, responded only to insurgent militia once they were aided by NATO, and so many conflicts and caused more problems of human rights.
I will talk about human rights in Libya. According to the report shows that of the Freedom Index, Gaddafi, led by the Revolution Committee of the implementation is similar to the former Soviet Union and Eastern Europe. The country's political leadership system, it is reported that claimed to have 10% to 20% of the Libyan people to do for the Revolutionary Committee of the monitoring work. They are widely distributed to government agencies, factories and enterprises, as well as schools and other education sector, which is ruled by Saddam Hussein in Iraq, and today Kim Jong North Korea's state was essentially flat. Under the laws of the country, Libya, who were found engaged in a political conversation with foreigners, is a criminal act. The maximum face jailed for 3 years. Criminal penalties. Gaddafi, in order to avoid public contact with foreigners, he made foreign languages course from the school setting removed has been a decade. In 2011, a protester claimed that they did not speak English or French because Gaddafi just wanted to allow them to maintain the state of ignorance and illiteracy. Gaddafi cheated the attitude of the opposition parties, insist on mercilessly to eradicate the principle. He did the cost to the armed suppression
of dissent groups. He has repeatedly ordered, including Benghazi and Tripoli. Several cities published hand demonstrations of students and members of the opposition. Also, worked in 3 hours. The massacre of Abu Salim present in 1,200 prisoners. The Libyan government also often publicly execute those who opposed his political activities, and then on national television repeatedly broadcast the execution of the process of screen. Western media that Gaddafi to suppress those who oppose and criticize his hired killer to assassinate some of those who publicly criticize him.